But particularly for me, this year has been quite reflective. I was in a very isolated harvest season, something that I actually prayed for. I think you are forced to literally go through some kind of rebirth, just jumping from one challenge, one hurdle to another, one win to another, and I've been really forced to sit still for things, bask in them. I was also feeling quite stuck. But I want to wish all of you watching a good start to the end of the year. Welcome back, beloveds. Hi everybody. I've got a bit of toothache, so I hope I'm audible. I had 2 major dental procedures in the past week alone, but we persist. Happy new month, beloveds. It's December and I actually cannot believe it's December. I cannot believe how quickly and slowly and intense 2024 has felt. Kind of nuts, but I guess we say this every year. But particularly for me, this year has been quite reflective, forcefully so. I don't know if I had much of a choice. I was in a very isolated harvest season, something that I actually prayed for a couple of years back. And in many ways, it was a season for me to rest, a season for me to reflect, and a season for me to prepare for whatever's to come. And while there have been pockets of small wins in between, it has been a difficult year. But since it has been a year since we got back to South Africa, I thought, let me reflect on this. As you can see from the title, it's been a year back. We've now lived in Cape Town for a year. And in many ways, living in Germany feels like some vague memory. It's no longer as tangible as it was a year ago. And I'm so glad that I actually documented it, sat down, talked about it, reflected it. And I've received so much feedback from some of you about how you found it reflective and insightful, and sometimes, contradictory. And a lot of you challenged some of the things that I shared, but I was so happy that I had this particular platform as a medium to be able to put my thoughts down and be able to look back. So I've been watching a lot of my videos, and it dawned on me that it's high time that I did a year back reflection. So what have I learned? That sometimes you need to start over. Sometimes you need to put the reset button and just go back to the drawing board and revisit your plans. When I left the country, I did it to pursue a different avenue, to grow in a different way. But also, if I'm being honest with myself, I was also feeling quite stuck, feeling confused in terms of the direction of my career and my life. And traveling was kind of like a nice, safe escapism. And if I really wanted to escape, I would have gone to a completely unknown place. But I chose a country that I was familiar with. I chose surroundings that I was familiar with so that I could have somewhat of a soft landing and kill many birds with one stone. So pursue my dreams, but also be forced to grow differently, learn different things, escape my reality at the time. And boy, oh boy, did I not get only that, but a bunch of very tough lessons. I felt very displaced, very inconvenienced. And now that I've come back, a lot of the decisions that I made spontaneously with not much thought are definitely still lingering. Definitely the starting over process has not been easy. Financially, it has not been easy. Emotionally, having to, it's in the small things, having to buy furniture again, having to find schools again for your child, having to find a rhythm and a community that makes sense for you in this particular season versus just staying in the one that made sense at the time. And while there's a lot of that that's still very much part of my reality now, my friend group is still very much the same group that I had at the time when I left. There's been so much newness that has come to the surface, and I've had to reset. I've had to reflect again. I think a lot of that is owed to motherhood. This particular season of motherhood hasn't been the easiest, and I am convinced now more than ever it's just by design. I think you are forced to literally go through some kind of rebirth, and those who are new here will know that, but I obviously have an older daughter and I have a younger son, and they have an 8-year gap between them. And my experience with my daughter was very different. I didn't really get to experience the first 2 years with my daughter because she stayed with my parents while I was given the opportunity to further my studies and do my honors and start working. And so those first 2 years, those grueling first 2 years, were not something that was known to me and my body and my emotions and my planning. And not only did I get to experience it this time around, but it also came with, it was accompanied by so many other changes. So it's been a particularly difficult season because so much has to be rediscovered and so much has to literally, I have to start from scratch again. And so being sort of a resilient person who has a plan looks very different when there's 2 kids to consider, looks very different when you're tired, looks very different when you're fatigued, starting over fatigued. But it has been so refreshing in a way to be given the opportunity to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, I live my life a certain way for 32 years. What do I want to now actively change? And I think I'm actually very convinced that my life prior to this, I was just jumping from one challenge, one hurdle to another, one win to another. And I've been really forced to sit still for things, bask in them, reflect, plan, not make hasty decisions. I was reflecting with a friend because I'm now starting to shop around again and look for cars. While I'm not financially ready yet, it's something that I'm starting to do in advance. Whereas when I first initially bought a car, I didn't even plan. I had a crisis, I need a vehicle, and I got it. I didn't even think how it would affect me financially. I was definitely not in a financial place to be able to make that kind of purchase, but I did it anyway. And I think the circumstances at the time didn't really allow much room for that because my life was really operating at this pace by design again. It was the decisions that I made that landed me in sort of this loop of just going from one thing to another. And the gift of this season has been to truly reset, to start over, to plan fully. I started a new job about 2 months ago. I'll dive into the details of the new job soon because boy oh boy do I need to reflect on that process as well. And they've given me basically 3 months to relocate from Cape Town to Johannesburg, and I've never ever relocated, planned a relocation, moved, and I've moved maybe 5 times minimum in my adulthood, and even more in my childhood. I've never had so much time to plan a move. You would think 3 months is not a lot of time, but for me, it is an extremely amount of time. I've never had that much time to really sit and, okay, what do I do in baby steps? What needs to take priority? What do I need to do quickly? What can I afford to take my time with? All of those things. So the gift of being able to reset has been both uncomfortable and completely necessary. So if there is somebody watching who's been wanting to restart, I think it, I won't sugarcoat and glorify it or glamorize it. I think it's uncomfortable. I think nobody wants to go back to the drawing board. I think nobody wants to be forced to be confronted with different decisions. I think that's the most tiring part about adulting, that we constantly have to make decisions. But it's such a gift because you get to, in a way, redesign your life the way that you want. And a reset moment comes with maybe sometimes feeling like you've been set back. I haven't had a car now for 2 years, and for as long as I've been an adult, I've had a car. That was such a big mindset shift. Just living my life differently financially, but also planning differently and making my peace with sometimes being inconvenienced, sometimes things taking longer. But the goal is to be in a far more financially liberated place, in a place where I don't have to be living from month to month, paycheck to paycheck. And in order to make that kind of decision, or to live that kind of life, I needed to make a conscious effort to say, I won't rush the car buying process. I would sit still for a bit, be uncomfortable for a bit, be inconvenienced for a bit, and hopefully be in a better position so that when I am then ready to purchase, I'm making different decisions and different considerations. Upside, I've had a car before. I know the costs that come with it. I know the stress that come with it. And when those moments come of feeling setback or shame or, whatever emotions come, because we're human, I'm also reminded of the reality of such a purchase, and then really have been given that gift to go back to the drawing board. So I think that has been the biggest takeaway for me in this past year. But another thing that has been extremely enriching about living in Cape Town is extremely family friendly. It's very walkable, green. There's a lot of activities you can do at a low cost, if not for free, with kids. I think it's a city that really encourages the outdoors. I've touched on this in a few videos, and there's a bunch of things you can do. I mean, for my daughter's birthday, we did a bunch of activities almost for free. It was completely accommodating to her personality, but also my pocket. It has been such a gift to come back to a city like this. While I am certain now that it's maybe not the city for us right now, it has been a gift for us in the right now. It has been the perfect gift for us to resettle, to take our time, but also to rediscover new hobbies, interests. I'm not 100% there yet. I definitely am declaring 2025 the year for that for me. But I definitely know that for my children, particularly my eldest, being in a city like this has been great for her. I think we might do a reflection of hers on her own so that you guys get a bit of her perspective after a year of being in Cape Town. But it has been really great. It has been great to sort of live a far more slow-paced life, but one that has been softer in a way, but also simpler. Simpler, and that has been a gift for us. So I guess the lesson or the theme for the year since we've been in Cape Town has been reset, rediscovery, re-energizing, and that has come with a fair amount of discomfort as well. I think those are the two things that I just wanted to reflect on, that have carried us throughout the year. Let me know if you're interested in a sort of retrospective, us moving back, the things that we had to factor in when we're moving back logistically, the nitty-gritty of those kind of things. I know some people are interested in that kind of stuff, and hindsight is 2020 in this case. I think there's a lot of things that are far more clearer now versus in the moment when we're moving. Happy to do that, but I want to wish all of you watching a good start to the end of the year. I think a lot of us start to slow down in December. A lot of us start to switch off, but I'm not sure a lot of us take stock and leave room for gratitude, leave room for reflection, leave room for a reset moment. So I hope you're all going to stay safe this festive season. I hope you are encouraged to spend time with your loved ones, go back to the drawing board, and probably start the new year on a different note. And if there's some fear attached to that, that's completely okay. I mean, a year ago I was terrified, didn't have a lot organized, and I don't know if I created enough space for gratitude and reflection as the new year started. And now I'm able to do that 12 months later as another year ends, and that's completely fine. So if you don't subscribe to having to do yearly reflections, I do hope that you are encouraged to do that every now and again. It's been so enriching for me, it's been so important for me, and I'm definitely encouraged to do life differently moving forward. So that's it from me for now, and catch you next time.